What's up, everyone? All right, so in today's episode, I'm going to break down all of my trades from the morning. Today, I'm sitting in the green, up $36,000. Not bad. And in fact, the market felt night and day different between yesterday and today. Yesterday, I felt like everything I jumped into just sort of stalled out, didn't go higher. And then today, we had a couple of really nice squeezes. Now, I will say yesterday, you guys got a huge move on KLTO, but typically I avoid those lower priced stocks. It ended up having over 1 billion shares of volume, which is incredible. But what I often find is that they work really well for traders who want to take a position, walk away for several hours, and then come back and sell. And so I saw a number of people who were like, oh, I got in at 70 cents and I sold at $1.50 or $1.80, $1 a share, biggest winner ever. But that's never really the way I trade. I'm so focused on the chart and the level 2 that sometimes I overthink it. I'm getting in, I'm getting out, getting in, getting out, and kind of getting chopped out while the stock is generally going higher, but not going parabolic or not kind of going as quickly up as I'd like. So that's something that I struggle with the lower price stocks. And even today, KLTO has gone higher. It's at $3.60, and I didn't trade it. This morning, pre-market, it really didn't make sense to trade it because it popped up at 4 a.m., pulled back, broke over the VWAP right here, and I was watching that. But one of the challenges on this one, massive sellers, 500,000 share sellers sitting on the ask, 800,000 share sellers sitting on the ask. I mean, these are huge sell orders. I don't know if they're short sellers or people that have been holding, that are selling, or if the companies, I don't know what it is, but some really big sell orders. So this morning at the open, I was like, okay, well, let's see what it does. What's the level that's important? And of course, I marked out the pre-market high of 321. And isn't this interesting that it comes up, breaks 321, and then dumps down, pops up, drops lower, and then does this reversal back up, and then goes back down below this 320 level, then comes back up, and then goes and is now back lower. So yes, if you had bought it here, walked away for 3 or 4, hours, whatever it is, an hour, 2 hours, you come back and sell, you've got a profit. But for those of us trying to use candlestick chart patterns to jump in and jump out, man, these can be really tricky. And lo and behold, 300 million shares on CARM. So you've got another low price stock that is taking attention. Now, this one was not taking attention until about 8:40 this morning. It popped up after hours, sort of pulled back, and then all of a sudden it came into focus. So just looking at the volume today, highest volume, CARM, second highest, KLTO, Plug Power. This has got 1 billion share float. That's not something that I would trade ever at this point. WINT, this one's a lower price name, 70 million shares of volume. EVGN. All right, so that's the first one I did trade that's on this list in terms of volume, with 5.9 million shares. And then MEGL was the second one, 48 million shares of volume. So let's look at MEGL. That was the first stock I traded today. So MEGL actually put in a really big squeeze here. It popped up early, pulled back, and then ripped from $1.50 all the way up to $4 a share. Fantastic. That's a really nice looking move. So I didn't take my first trade on it until it was coming up here at $3, but that's okay. So it pops up to 3, pulls back. I jump in for the break of 3, and we get a squeeze from 3 to nearly $4 a share. So on that move, I made $30,000. Really pleased with that. And I was just so grateful to see really clean price action. Like, all right, this is what I wanted to see yesterday. I got in, and all of a sudden, I'm up 30, 40, 50 cents a share. I'm adding to my position. Next thing I'm up, when you add to your position, you increase your cost basis. But nonetheless, all of a sudden, it's up $1 a share from my initial entry. So I was really pleased with that. So that was right at 7 a.m., top of the hour. And then we had EVGN, which I jumped into right after. So EVGN pops up, as you can see here, breaking news at 7. It goes from $1 up to $2.50, pulls back, pops up to 3, pulls back, pops back up. So on this one, I didn't do as well on it. I made about 7,900, gave back 2,000 off the top. My first entry was at $1.88. So I bought to anticipate the breakthrough too. If we go on the 1 minute chart, it'll be a little easier to see. So on the 1 minute chart, actually we'll do the 10-second chart. We'll get really dialed in here. All right, so 10-second chart, EVGN. So my entry would have been, let's see. So my first entry, it broke this level here, and I chased it a little bit, getting in here for the breakthrough 2. It goes all the way to 230, dips down, then comes back up to 240, and then pulls back, and then micro pullbacks, and I'm trading it on the way up. So then it hit this high here, and let's see, is that where I drew the trend line? So hit that high there, and then it pulls back, and then it comes back up again and double tops. And then when it came back up again here, I did try to add for the squeeze through this. I thought I was going to break through this descending or ascending resistance line, and it didn't. And then I gave back a little profit off the top. So I peaked today at about 38,000. Maybe it was 39, but about 38,000. Gave back a little off the top, but EVGN was pretty clean, although it did pull back. And then gels, this one's kind of interesting. Breaking news, but down $112 on it. So this one I was not able to really get in the zone on. It initially popped up here, tried to do this little pullback, rejected, lost on that. Then it comes back up, breaks VWAP. I got back in and made a tiny gain, but I went down on it, I think $600, and then made back 500 of it. It just didn't feel, I don't know, it just wasn't quite strong enough. And I didn't really think it was the strongest catalyst. So that didn't shock me that it was a little bit tricky, but we had such a strong start on MEGL and EVGN, I thought maybe there'd be more, and then it just sort of, things kind of stalled out. So if we go back and look at the high day momentum scanner, let's see, we'll scroll back on this a bit. So started the day, MEGL, you can see this hitting the scans here, MEGL, MEGL, MEGL. So that was good. EVGN, boom. And then MGNX floats too high. Gels hits the scanner. Airs, by the way, hits the scanner, but doesn't really do much. DGXX floats a little higher at 30 million shares. Then we had WINT that started to pop up, and I was like, oh boy, all right, cheap stock, stealing attention. That's not great, and it reversed. A couple of lower price stocks here, couple pops and drops. NRXS, IVP. So I was like, no, that's not great. Xena, known for doing pops and drops. This one's tricky. So that one popped up. No interest there. Newegg, didn't have enough volume. No trades there. DFDV, higher price. Nothing there. ENVB, nothing really. LICN, China stock with no news. Goes from 5 to 750, back down to 5. So it was a maybe, I was like, all right, this could work. Let's see if we can get a really good setup on it. But, as you could see, it didn't hold that level. So just scalp opportunities on it really at best, this little break here and then that pop higher. So no opportunity to take a really big position at least. ARAI, that's at the open, grinding higher, but it's a recent IPO. So that one, you can kind of see the setup there. But it's so red on this initial day that's kind of hard. And now at this point, it's just a couple stocks hitting here and there, but it feels like we really have dispersed attention. There's not one stock that's super obvious. And of course, some people are trading CARM, the lower price stocks, and da-da-da-da. So anyways, you know what? I'm grateful to be green here today. Solid green day, recovers yesterday's loss, which is good. However, still kind of underperforming this week relative to where I'd like to be, averaging out yesterday's loss and today's gain, green on the week, but not maintaining this high daily average that I'd like. I mean, I'd like to be maintaining $20,000 per day. That's really my hard goal here. And obviously I'm not doing it so far this week. So that's a bit unfortunate, but it's also early in the week. So, it's only Tuesday. No reason to get too bent out of shape. And I guess the good news overall is that because I've had a high average so far for the month of June, and I know it's very, very early in the month, but the high average, which is 120,000 a day, not including the last 2 days, gives me a lot of room. So, I've already beat my first goal, which was 400K for the month, but the new goal was 1 million, and I'm not going to hit that with these kind of days. I mean, well, 36,000's, not a bad day, but nonetheless, I really need to be hitting some bigger green days. And so hopefully we do see some more action as the week goes on. I'm not sure what to expect for tomorrow. On the one hand, today was a solid green day. So, maybe if we get some good news, we'll get some good action. But I'll look at the scanners later tonight and see how some of these stocks closed. Check the after hours top gainer scanner later this evening and, kind of go from there in terms of deciding how aggressive I want to be tomorrow morning. All right, so that's it for me. Reminder, as always, trading is risky. My results aren't typical, so please manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you guys. I'll be live streaming here first thing tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. for members at Warrior Trading. All right, I'll see you then.